There are no accidents in the divine plan. If this message found its way to you, it's not because of an algorithm. It's because destiny has a way of sending signals when your soul is ready to awaken. You didn't stumble across this. You were summoned. There's a deep and ancient truth written into the very fabric of the universe. Nothing powerful is born without pressure, and nothing chosen walks through life without resistance. The more light you carry, the more shadows you attract. But not everyone survives that contrast. You did. And now you're here. Not broken, but battle-tested. Not lost, but chosen. Let's begin this journey together. It's not just a message. It's a reflection of everything you've been feeling but couldn't put into words. From the earliest moments of your journey, something about you is different. You didn't fit in, and no matter how hard you tried, blending into the background never felt natural. That's because you weren't made to fade into the crowd. You weren't crafted for mediocrity. You were never ordinary. You've always carried something deeper, something heavier, a calling, a presence, a light that can't be easily ignored. And while others may have coasted through life, you've felt the weight of being different. But what you once saw as a burden was, in truth, a sacred signature of purpose. Ordinary lives don't shake atmospheres. Ordinary hearts don't carry the kind of fire that shifts generations. But you do. That's why life hasn't always been kind. Because the chosen path is rarely the easy one. It's the road carved through resistance, through rejection, and through refinement. And while some seem to rise with applause, your growth came in silence. Alone. In rooms where no one clapped, but heaven took notice. And as you continued to grow into your calling, something else began to happen. People started to leave. You held on with everything you had. You poured your love, your energy, your loyalty into people who couldn't see your worth. You chased doors that slammed shut, cried over opportunities that slipped through your hands, and wondered if the losses meant you weren't enough. But here's the truth. What left your life was never meant to stay. That relationship you gave your heart to, it couldn't carry your future. That opportunity you lost sleep over, it would have misaligned your destiny. Sometimes rejection is not cruelty. It's compassion in disguise. It's divine interference, saving you from what your heart wanted but your soul didn't need. You see, when you're chosen, not everyone can walk with you. Your future demands clarity, and clarity requires separation. So the exits you thought were your downfall were actually your deliverance. The universe heard conversations behind closed doors you never did. It saw the hidden motives, the quiet jealousy, the subtle sabotage, and it removed what you didn't have the strength to let go of. Let them go. Let what was never yours fall away without guilt. Because what's coming will recognize you instantly. You won't need to prove, to beg, or to break yourself to fit. The ones who are meant to be in your life won't be confused by your value. And that's exactly why so many couldn't get close to you, why certain relationships couldn't last, why you often felt like you were on the outside looking in. It's not because you were broken, it's because you are sacred. What is sacred must be protected. A diamond isn't placed on the sidewalk for anyone to grab. It's guarded, kept safe, cherished. And that's how heaven views you. When people mishandled you, it wasn't because you were too much. It was because they didn't have the capacity to honor you. They approached your spirit with dirty hands, not realizing the purity of what they were touching. And each time someone tried to use you, abuse you, or reduce you, life didn't punish them immediately, but it did take notes. The more sacred your purpose, the more protection you need. You weren't being left out. You were being guarded. While others focused on looking good, you were being prepared for something greater. That's why some people had to leave. It wasn't rejection, it was protection. No, your journey hasn't been easy. But truthfully, it's the pain that shaped your strength and built the fire inside you. You asked, why did it hurt so much? But the real question is, how else would the fire in you be forged? The heartbreaks, betrayals, lonely nights, and unanswered prayers, they weren't random. They were your refining fire. Because when God crowns a person, He first tests their heart. When the universe is preparing someone to lead, it puts them through seasons that break their ego, sharpen their vision, and strip away everything fake. You didn't suffer because you were weak. You suffered because strength was being carved into you. You didn't fall apart, you fell into place. Each crack in your heart became a channel for your light to shine through. Every wound gave birth to wisdom. And now, you don't just carry a message, you are the message. A living testimony that pressure doesn't destroy the chosen. It prepares them. So if you felt pain, if you felt like everything was falling apart, know this: it wasn't. It was falling into divine alignment. Can you feel it? That silent pull, that quiet but undeniable sense that something is changing. Not just around you, but within you. It's not anxiety. It's not coincidence. It's alignment. You are standing at the edge of something monumental, and the ground beneath you is shifting. But this transformation didn't happen overnight. It's been building. Slowly, silently, sacredly. Every tear you cried in private, every setback you thought would break you, every night you whispered, "Why does it have to be this hard?" It was part of a greater story being written in the unseen. You see, the shift always begins in silence, because what's truly powerful never needs to announce itself. It simply arrives, ready. And this quiet rising, explains why the attacks have intensified. Because you don't walk like everyone else. You don't chase attention, yet somehow it finds you. You move with humility, but your presence speaks louder than pride ever could. That's what the Daniel anointing looks like. It's not about being loud. It's about being aligned. Daniel wasn't flashy, but even kings took notice. And so did the snakes. The same favor that promotes you is often the very thing that provokes others. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your peace reveals their chaos. And your obedience? It's unsettling to a world obsessed with shortcuts and image. You've been misunderstood, watched, not with admiration, but with intimidation. But hear this: their opinions don't define your purpose. Their envy doesn't disqualify your anointing. And their resistance? It's just proof that you're rising in the spirit before it's visible in the physical. Chosen ones don't need validation from crowds. They carry confirmation from above. Stop trying to make yourself smaller so others feel more comfortable. You were never meant to be liked by everyone. That's not your assignment. You were meant to leave a mark so undeniable it echoes long after you've left the room. And sometimes, that kind of presence doesn't attract applause. It attracts resistance. Your light makes people confront the darkness they've ignored. Your truth cuts through illusions others depend on to survive. So don't be surprised when your elevation causes people to distance themselves. They're not avoiding you. They're avoiding what your growth reveals about them. And that's okay, because you weren't built to be palatable. You were built to be powerful. Let them talk. Let them question. Let them misunderstand. Your worth doesn't shrink because someone else can't see it. The roar of your purpose is too loud to be silenced by their whispers. You've spent too much time trying to explain yourself to people who were never supposed to understand you. You see what others miss. You sense shifts in rooms others walk through blindly. You notice unspoken truths, feel unseen motives, and carry insight that doesn't come from books. It comes from divine download. That's not paranoia. That's precision. And the reason you've often felt out of place in surface-level spaces is because your depth intimidates shallow minds. But you don't have to keep explaining your moves, your decisions, or your silence. Chosen ones operate by spiritual radar, not public opinion. You were given a vision not everyone was meant to see, so stop translating it into a language they refuse to learn. Your obedience is enough. Your discernment is protection. And your distance? It's often the clearest sign of wisdom. You may look at others who seem more skilled, more connected, more applauded, and wonder, why not me? But what you don't see is that while talent might open doors, only obedience keeps them open. Obedience is showing up when you're tired. It's trusting the process when nothing makes sense. It's staying humble in silence when your heart screams for recognition. And that, right there, is what separates the chosen from the called. The world celebrates talent, but heaven honors obedience. Your breakthrough won't come because you were the loudest or the most polished. It'll come because you listened, because you waited, because you stayed true when no one was watching. And in a world that idolizes speed, your quiet consistency has made you unstoppable. There's a sacred silence that often follows the seasons of struggle, a quiet stretch of time where nothing seems to move, nothing seems to break through, and you wonder if all your effort was in vain. But silence does not mean stagnation. Don't let the stillness fool you. The quiet doesn't mean you're being forgotten. It means you're being formed. Warriors aren't built in the spotlight. They're sharpened in the shadows. And you, chosen one, have been hidden not to be overlooked, but to be preserved for the precise moment heaven declares, now. In this silent space, your roots have grown deep. Your strength has been forged far away from applause. And just when it seems like nothing is happening, that's when everything is happening. Stillness is not your enemy, it's your strategy. And just as you're growing in the silence, the favor on your life is becoming louder. But here's the part the world won't understand. Favor was never meant to be fair. It doesn't follow rules or respect order. It chooses the faithful over the flashy, the obedient over the obvious. So when you rise, they'll call it luck. They'll say it's undeserved. But they didn't see the price you paid in private. They weren't there for the nights you cried yourself to sleep. They didn't witness the storms you survived in silence. So let them whisper. Let them wonder. Favor isn't supposed to make sense. It's meant to make history. And now, the shift is no longer a distant promise. It's here. The atmosphere is changing. The alignment is happening. That surge you've felt in your spirit, it's not just emotion. It's preparation. This isn't business as usual. This is divine movement. The door you've been praying for isn't just opening, it's swinging wide. But it won't wait for hesitation. This is a suddenly season. The question isn't, will it happen? It's, are you ready? Because when the shift calls your name, the chosen don't chase, they rise. You were never random. You were always marked. Everything they used to bury you only proved how fireproof you are. Every detour, every disappointment, every dark night, none of it was in vain. Now, you are stronger, sharper, clearer, and the shift isn't just coming, it's already begun. This is your announcement, your alignment, your activation. You were not just chosen, you were made unstoppable. If this message spoke to your soul, thank you for sharing this moment with us. Your presence here matters. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss what's divinely meant for you. And if you're ready to step fully into your purpose, drop "I'm ready" in the comments. Your journey is just beginning. Let's rise together. Chosen one, listen carefully. This is not just another message. It is a divine warning, a prophecy unfolding at this very moment. If these words have reached you, know that it is not by accident. The spiritual realm is stirring, the heavens have spoken, and God Himself is making a declaration over your life. Tonight, a shift is happening. The battle that has raged in the unseen world is about to manifest in the physical. Those who plotted against you, those who slandered your name, those who tried to tear you down, they are about to experience something they never expected. The judgment of the Almighty. You have felt it in your spirit, haven't you? That unshakable feeling that something is about to break? That heavy energy surrounding you? The tension in the air? This is not your imagination. This is not a mere coincidence. It is confirmation. God has seen every tear you shed in silence. He has heard your whispered prayers, the ones you thought no one noticed. He has watched you endure attack after attack, betrayal after betrayal. And now, tonight, the hour has come. The wicked have gone too far, and the hand of God is moving against them. From the moment God placed His anointing upon you, your life was set apart. You were called, chosen, and elevated by divine favor, but with that elevation came opposition. The chosen ones have always been targets of attack, not because they have done anything wrong, but because of the light they carry. If you are truly anointed, understand this: you will have enemies. You do not need to provoke them, offend them, or even interact with them. Your mere existence disturbs their demons. Your favor enrages them. Your resilience frustrates them. The grace upon your life is like a mirror, reflecting their own shortcomings, and they cannot stand it. They will despise you for reasons even they cannot fully explain. Some will pretend to support you while secretly hoping for your downfall. Others will actively seek to destroy you, using slander, deception, and betrayal as their weapons. They will lie on your name, twist your words, and work behind the scenes to block your blessings. They will manipulate, gossip, and scheme against you, believing that if they can tear you down, they can somehow erase what God has placed upon your life. But what they fail to realize is this: every attack against you is an attack against God Himself. The forces working against you are not just human. This is spiritual warfare, and your enemies are not merely acting out of personal hatred. They are being used by a greater darkness that seeks to extinguish the light within you. The enemy has always feared the chosen ones, for they carry a divine assignment that cannot be stopped. Your anointing is a threat to the kingdom of darkness. That is why you have faced obstacles that seemed insurmountable. That is why you have endured betrayals that cut deep. That is why, even when you tried to walk in peace, opposition arose against you from unexpected places. But here is the truth your enemies have overlooked. God has seen it all. Every scheme, every whispered lie, every attempt to break you. He has taken notice. He has heard the words spoken against you in secret. He has watched as they celebrated your struggles, convinced that they had succeeded in bringing you down. What they do not understand is that the very trials they hoped would destroy you were the ones strengthening you. Every hardship made you wiser. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every setback positioned you for a greater comeback. And now, tonight, the tables are turning. The same ones who laughed at your pain will soon witness something they never expected: the judgment of the Almighty. The wrath of the living God is moving against those who have mocked His anointed. They thought they had gotten away with their wickedness, but they failed to recognize that God's justice is never delayed. It is only perfectly timed. They sowed destruction, and now they will reap it. They set traps for you, but now they will fall into their own snares. They dug pits for your downfall, but those very pits will become their own graves. Chosen one, stand still and watch. You do not need to retaliate. You do not need to defend yourself. The battle is not yours, it belongs to God. He has already decreed their fate, and His judgment is swift and unstoppable. What is coming for them cannot be escaped, and as they fall, you will rise. As they crumble, you will be elevated. What they meant for evil, God is turning for your good. This is the season where divine justice will be served. The enemies of the chosen ones will finally learn the painful lesson they never expected: never touch what belongs to God. There is no position more perilous, no fate more terrifying, than standing on the wrong side of God's judgment. He is merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in grace, yet He is also a God of justice. For a season, He allows the wicked time to repent, to turn from their evil ways, to seek forgiveness. But when they harden their hearts, when they continue in deception and refuse correction, His patience does not equate to inaction. The moment His judgment is set into motion, it is like a consuming fire, unstoppable, unrelenting, and absolute. Your enemies thought they were untouchable. They walked in arrogance, convinced that their deceit, manipulation, and hidden schemes would protect them forever. They mistook God's silence for indifference, never realizing that He was simply giving them a chance to change. They believed their wealth, influence, and carefully crafted lies would shield them from the consequences of their actions. They assumed they had escaped justice, that they could continue to move in darkness without fear of exposure. But what they failed to understand is this: God's justice is never late. It is only perfectly timed. He allows the wicked to build themselves up, only so that when they fall, it is from a height so great that their destruction becomes undeniable. And now, that time has come. Some of them will face immediate consequences as everything they place their trust in begins to crumble. Watch carefully, and you will see how suddenly their downfall begins. Some will lose everything overnight: the wealth they boasted in, the status they used as a weapon, the security they thought was unshakable. It will all be taken from them in an instant. The very foundation they stood upon will collapse beneath them. Some will be exposed. Their carefully hidden secrets, the lies they told, the sins they committed in darkness, all will be dragged into the light for all to see. The masks they wore will be torn away, and the world will witness them for who they truly are. Some will experience turmoil, consumed by their own wickedness. The guilt, the fear, the weight of their own actions will begin to eat them alive. Their minds will become restless, tormented by the very things they once thought were hidden. They will find no peace, no escape, no way to silence the voice of judgment echoing in their souls. Some will cry out for help, but no one will answer. The same people they once manipulated, the same allies they conspired with, will abandon them. They will reach out, desperate for support, for someone to rescue them from the storm. But they will find themselves completely alone. Everything they plotted against you will return upon their own heads. The very weapons they crafted in secret will turn against them. The pit they dug for you, they will fall into it themselves. The traps they set for your destruction will become the snares that ensnare them. But here is what you must remember, chosen one. This is not your battle to fight. You do not need to lift a finger. You do not need to seek revenge. You do not need to explain yourself, argue, or try to prove anything. God Himself has already decided their fate. His justice is in motion, and nothing can stop it. Stand still and watch. What is about to unfold is not an accident. It is divine retribution. And as their world falls apart, yours will rise. As they stumble, you will walk forward in strength. Their downfall is not your concern. Your focus must remain on the path God has set before you. For too long, they believed they could act without consequence. But now, God has had enough. His judgment has arrived, and those who oppose His chosen ones are about to learn the most painful lesson of all. No one stands against God and wins. Chosen one. As you step into this season of divine justice and elevation, your role is not to avenge yourself or to dwell on the downfall of those who wronged you. God does not need your help in carrying out judgment. Your focus must remain on Him, your purpose, and the blessings that are on the horizon. Do not look back. Do not be distracted. Stay aligned with His will. First, do not interfere with what God is doing. It may be tempting to reach out, to offer comfort, or even to warn those who betrayed you. But understand this: their suffering is a direct result of their own choices. God gave them time to repent, to turn away from their wickedness, but they refused. Now, their consequences are unfolding. Do not try to rescue them from what they willingly walked into. You must also guard your heart. Bitterness, anger, and resentment are traps set by the enemy. Do not allow their actions to corrupt your spirit. You are not called to harbor hate. You are called to rise above it. Stay in prayer. Pray not for their restoration, but for your own protection, wisdom, and elevation. Ask God to keep your heart pure and your focus strong as He leads you into a greater season of favor. Be cautious. Not everyone deserves a second chance in your life. Some of those who betrayed you will return, desperate and broken. They will come with tears, with apologies, with words that sound sincere. But ask yourself, are they truly repentant, or are they simply suffering? Many will beg for forgiveness, not because they have changed, but because they want relief from the consequences they now face. Do not be deceived. If God removed them from your life, it was for a reason. Resist the urge to reopen doors that God has closed. If they were meant to be part of your future, they never would have betrayed you in the first place. Some people must learn through pain what they refuse to learn through grace. Let them go. Instead of looking back, prepare for what is ahead. God is not just removing people. He is making room for your blessings. He is clearing out what was blocking your path so that you can step into your next season freely and without hindrance. What was stolen from you will be restored, sevenfold. The years you lost, the opportunities that were delayed, the hardships you endured, God is about to turn them into a testimony of victory. Be expectant. God will send signs, confirmations, and undeniable shifts in your circumstances. Pay attention to your dreams, to sudden changes, to divine alignments that seem too perfect to be coincidence. He is showing you that everything you endured had a purpose. Every betrayal, every tear, every sleepless night, it was all part of the process to mold you into who He created you to be. So, stand firm. Do not be distracted by the judgment of your enemies. Their downfall is not your focus. Your elevation is. Keep moving forward with confidence, knowing that what is coming for you is far greater than anything you have lost. This is your season of breakthrough, your moment of restoration, your divine confirmation that God has been with you all along. Your enemies once laughed at your pain, mocked your struggles, and revealed your setbacks. They spoke against you, worked against you, and believed they had won. They thought they had successfully hindered your progress, blocked your blessings, and escaped judgment. But what they failed to realize is that no one opposes a child of God and walks away unscathed. Now, the same ones who took pleasure in your suffering will find themselves drowning in their own despair. The humiliation they sought to bring upon you will return upon their own heads. They will be stripped of the very things they once used to exalt themselves, their status, their wealth, their influence, and their carefully crafted image. Where they once stood in arrogance, they will now bow in shame. The world will see them for who they truly are, as their hidden wickedness is exposed for all to witness. Divine justice is not delayed. It is only perfectly timed. And when it strikes, it comes swiftly, with no warning. For some, their wealth will disappear overnight. The financial security they boasted in, the success they believed was untouchable, will vanish before their eyes. What they used as a source of pride will become their greatest downfall. The very foundation they relied upon will crumble, leaving them in a state of desperation and loss. For others, their bodies will testify against them. The weight of their own wickedness will manifest in sickness, exhaustion, and affliction. What once came easily to them will now feel impossible. They will feel drained, burdened, and overwhelmed, struggling under the pressure of what they have sown. No doctor will be able to diagnose or cure the sickness that is a result of divine judgment. Many will suffer from mental torment. Sleepless nights will replace their once peaceful rest. They will be haunted by the very acts they committed in darkness, unable to escape the echoes of their own wickedness. Their conscience, which they once ignored, will now scream at them relentlessly. Anxiety, fear, and paranoia will consume them as they realize they are no longer in control. Worst of all, they will be abandoned. The same people who once stood beside them, who applauded their actions, will now turn their backs. They will find themselves isolated, rejected by the very ones they conspired with. Their alliances will shatter, their relationships will crumble, and they will come to understand the true loneliness of walking outside of God's grace. But chosen one, this is not karma. This is not mere coincidence. This is divine justice. It is the law of the Almighty. What a person sows, they will also reap. They sowed deception. Now they will reap exposure. They sowed pain. Now they will reap suffering. They cursed you. Now their own words will turn against them. There is no escaping what has already been set in motion. The fate of your enemies is sealed. Their judgment has begun, and nothing can stop what is coming. Watch and see. What was done in darkness is now being brought into the light. The scales are balancing, the tables have turned, and God is proving that He will not be mocked. Chosen one, your suffering was not in vain. Every trial was a setup for your breakthrough. Every betrayal was a lesson. Every attack was preparation. What is coming next for you cannot be stopped. What was delayed is now being released. The favor that was blocked is now overflowing. You are stepping into a new level of authority and power. If this message resonates with you, declare it. Comment 777 below as a sign that you receive this word. Speak it aloud. I am chosen. Let's subscribe, like, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. What is coming next will be even more powerful. The battle is over. The war has been won. Now walk forward in victory. There's something extraordinary, almost celestial, about being in the presence of a chosen one. You can feel it before they speak, before they smile, even before they look your way. It's not about charisma or charm. It's about energy. Their presence is a balm to wounded spirits. Their silence speaks volumes, and their gaze penetrates to the soul's deepest corners. They don't demand attention. They command peace. These are the people who love deeply without condition, who forgive even when forgiveness isn't asked for, who bring healing just by existing. But behind their grace lies a quiet fire, a storm held back by discipline, a spiritual strength hidden behind soft eyes and kind words. Because when a chosen one is provoked, betrayed, or spiritually violated, they do not simply react, they awaken. And what awakens is not ordinary emotion. It is something sacred, something ancient, a divine judgment that reshapes everything around it. Today we explore 8 profound reasons why chosen ones are the kindest souls you will ever meet, but also the most dangerous when provoked. Before beginning the video, let's subscribe, like this video, and stay with me until the end of this message, and you will understand why you were led here. This is your moment. 1. Their healing energy can warm you or burn you. There is something unmistakably sacred about the presence of a chosen one. It's not something you can always explain with words, it's something you feel. Their energy is soft yet powerful, gentle yet transformative. When they walk into a space, the atmosphere shifts. Tension eases, hearts soften. Without even trying, they bring comfort to the broken and calm to the restless. Their very presence feels like a breath of fresh air after a long storm. But their healing isn't passive. It's not simply about being nice. The peace they carry is the result of deep spiritual refinement. They've been through fire, and they carry light that heals because they've known darkness intimately. Being near them often feels like emotional cleansing, like your spirit is finally being held, seen, and restored. However, that same light that soothes can also confront. It exposes. It burns away illusions. Because true healing isn't just about comfort. It's about truth. The energy they carry doesn't just ease your pain. It brings everything hidden into the light. The lies you tell yourself, the masks you wear, the shadows you hide, nothing can stay buried in their presence. Many mistake this light for vulnerability, assuming chosen ones can be manipulated or taken advantage of. But make no mistake, their gentleness is not weakness. Their kindness is not a lack of awareness. The same healing energy that lifts others can also become a refining fire when faced with dishonesty, ego, or malice. Being loved by a chosen one is a gift, but if you betray that love, you'll be exposed by the truth they carry. And when their light turns toward you, anything fake or dishonest won't be able to hide. 2. Their patience isn't passive, it's divine discipline. At first glance, the patience of a chosen one might seem like indifference. They don't rush to correct, argue, or confront. They remain quiet even when wronged. But don't mistake their stillness for apathy. It is anything but passive. Their patience is intentional. It is the product of inner strength and spiritual clarity. Chosen ones understand the sacred rhythm of time. They know that not every lesson is taught with words, and not every battle is won through confrontation. They observe, they wait, and they allow others the space to grow, to come into alignment, to choose truth. Even when they are fully aware of betrayal or deceit, they do not act impulsively. Instead, they hold space for transformation, hoping the other person might awaken before it's too late. But their patience has a limit. It is not eternal. When that silent grace shifts, when the calm turns to quiet withdrawal, it is not a reaction of anger, but a sign that divine timing has reached its end. Their stillness becomes a signal. The season of mercy is closing. And when they do move, it's never for revenge. It's purpose-driven. They don't need to prove anything. They know who they are. Their decision to step back is often the most powerful message they'll ever send. In the end, their patience isn't weakness, it's wisdom, it's discipline. And when they finally act, the impact is undeniable, because it's not just them moving, it's the divine moving through them. 3. When they snap, it's not anger, it's divine judgment. Chosen ones are not easily angered. Their hearts are anchored in deep emotional maturity, and their spirits are attuned to peace. They have endured more than most, often carrying wounds in silence and forgiving long before apologies are offered. But when their boundaries are crossed too many times, when their grace is taken for granted and their soul repeatedly violated, what rises in them is not ordinary anger. It's something sacred, something weighty. Their outburst, if it comes, is not impulsive. It is prophetic. It is not fueled by ego, but by alignment with divine truth. In those rare moments when they finally speak out, their words pierce deeper than any weapon. They don't just express pain, they unveil it. They don't shout to be heard, they speak to awaken. When a chosen one reaches their limit, their words carry deep truth. They're not trying to hurt anyone, they're simply speaking what can no longer be hidden. And when that truth comes out, it doesn't just reveal the pain, it pushes change. 4. They protect everyone, including themselves. Chosen ones carry a natural instinct to protect. Chosen ones carry a natural instinct to protect. They are the quiet guardians in a noisy world, the ones who step in when others step back. They shield the broken, defend the innocent, and stand firm against injustice without ever needing recognition. Their love is not passive, it is protective, rooted in a sacred calling to bring peace where there is pain and strength where there is fear. But what many overlook is this: the same fierce devotion they offer others, they also extend to themselves. Chosen ones do not abandon their own spirit for the sake of pleasing others. They are deeply aware of their energy, their peace, and the sacredness of their inner space. When someone repeatedly disrespects their boundaries or disrupts their spiritual alignment, they won't argue, they will quietly step away. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. They know that protection isn't just about defending others from harm, it's also about honoring their own worth. The same strength they use to shield others becomes the sword they use to guard their own soul, because a chosen one understands. If their light is to keep shining for the world, they must never let it be dimmed by those who do not value it. 5. Their silence is louder than screaming and far more destructive. When deeply hurt or betrayed, chosen ones don't lash out. They don't argue, plead, or seek to be understood. Instead, they retreat into silence, and that silence is far more powerful than any outburst could ever be. Because their silence speaks. It speaks of boundaries crossed, of trust broken, of grace that has finally run its course. It doesn't scream, it echoes. And in its echo is a mirror that forces others to confront what their presence once protected. The peace that followed them disappears, and what's left is the unrest that had always been there, now exposed. Chosen ones don't need to raise their voice to make a statement. Their absence is the statement. The warmth they brought, the calm they carried, the invisible safety they offered, it all leaves with them. And suddenly, everything starts to unravel. They do not withdraw to punish. They withdraw to preserve. And in doing so, they allow truth, consequence, and divine justice to take over. Their silence is not weakness. It's wisdom. It is the final sacred boundary. When they go quiet, it's not because they've given up. It's because they've already said all that needed to be said, without speaking a single word. 6. Their intuition is a spiritual weapon chosen. Ones don't just sense what others overlook. They see it. Their intuition is not guesswork. It's spiritual insight sharpened through experience, prayer, and deep inner alignment. They read energy the way others read facial expressions. They feel what's not being said, and they discern the truth behind even the most polished lies. They may remain quiet, choosing not to confront immediately. But don't confuse their silence for ignorance. They know more than they let on. In moments of tension or deceit, they pick up on the unspoken, the slight shifts in tone, the masked intentions, the subtle manipulations. It's as if their soul is wired to detect truth beneath layers of disguise, and when the time comes to speak, they do so with clarity and calm, but their words land with force. They don't argue or attack, they reveal. With just a few sentences, they can expose what others have tried to bury, even from themselves. Not to shame, but to awaken. This is why toxic people feel uneasy around them. It's not fear of confrontation, it's fear of exposure. Because to stand before a chosen one is to stand before truth itself. And when truth becomes a weapon, it cuts straight to the soul. 7. Their mercy is vast, but not infinite. The heart of a chosen one beats with compassion. They are among the first to forgive, the last to walk away, and often the only ones praying for the very people who hurt them. They see the pain beneath the behavior, the wound behind the betrayal. Their love is patient, and their mercy runs deep. But even divine patience has its limit. Chosen ones may offer chance after chance, not out of naivety, but because they believe in healing. They hope for redemption. They give people room to grow, not because they're blind, but because they know that true change takes time. Yet, there comes a moment when mercy is no longer alignment. It becomes self-betrayal. And when that threshold is crossed, something shifts. Quietly, firmly, without drama. They don't slam doors. They close them gently, but for good. And when they step away, so does the spiritual covering they carried. The peace, the prayers, the unseen protection, all lifted. What once shielded someone from the weight of consequence is suddenly gone. That's when people realize they weren't just dealing with a kind person. They were held by someone spiritually sent. And when that covering lifts, life teaches what grace once softened. 8. Their presence changes the atmosphere. For better or worse. A chosen one doesn't just enter a room, they shift it. Their energy is not loud or boastful, but it's undeniably powerful. Without saying a word, they bring stillness to chaos, calm to tension, and light to confusion. People may not understand why they suddenly feel more at peace or more open, but it's the spiritual frequency they carry. They are vessels of divine energy, and that energy brings balance, order, and unseen protection. Conversations become clearer. Emotions settle. Hearts open. The atmosphere simply feels better. But that same presence, when provoked or unsettled, can have the opposite effect. When their peace is disturbed, the harmony around them begins to fracture. The room may feel heavier, conversation may stall, and people grow uneasy without knowing why. It's not just emotion, it's spirit. Their soul is so attuned that any spiritual dissonance sends ripples through the environment. This is why even their silence carries weight. Their energy speaks louder than their voice ever could. To be in their presence is to feel something sacred, whether comforting or confronting. Because a chosen one doesn't just live in the world, they shift the very atmosphere around them. To encounter a chosen one is to stand in the presence of something both tender and unshakable. Their kindness is not weakness, it is wisdom wrapped in grace. Their silence holds more truth than 1,000 words, and their patience is a reflection of divine timing, not hesitation. They are healers, protectors, truth-tellers, quiet forces of transformation sent not to dominate but to awaken. But never mistake their gentleness for fragility. Beneath their compassion lies sacred fire, and when provoked beyond their spiritual threshold, that fire rises, not to destroy, but to reveal, not to condemn, but to correct. So honor the chosen ones in your life. Their presence is not ordinary, it is purposeful, and if you are one, this is your reminder. Your light is powerful, your grace is rare, and the strength you carry in silence is not only seen by heaven, it is protected by it. Walk softly, but never forget the fire you carry. Somewhere deep inside, you've always known. You were never meant to blend in. From the moment you opened your eyes to the world, something in you stirred differently. While others laughed at fairy tales, you pondered the stars. While children dreamed of castles and crowns, your soul ached to understand life, its meaning, and its maker. If you're hearing this now, it's not by accident. You've been led here. Because within you lies a truth, one so sacred, so powerful, that it's been buried beneath years of self-doubt, pain, confusion, and suppression. But now, it's time. Time to remember who you really are. You've felt it before, the sense that you're different. The weight in your chest when others seem unaffected. The quiet wisdom in your silence. The dreams that feel like prophecy. The feeling that someone, somewhere, has always been watching over you, waiting for you to awaken. This message is your awakening, because you are chosen by the very hand of God. And now, we will uncover what was hidden. Piece by piece, we'll awaken the divine purpose placed in you long before time began. Let this be your call to rise, not as who the world says you are, but as who God says you've always been. There is a reason your path has been shadowed with confusion, doubt, and delay. It's not because you were weak. It's because you were powerful before you even knew it. The enemy saw your light long before you could name it, and he feared what you might become if you ever woke up to the truth. You see, light attracts both awe and attack, and when your light began to flicker, the world responded, not with support, but with silence. Not with celebration, but with suppression. Your questions were dismissed, your boldness misunderstood, your vision mocked. Why? Because when someone carries something sacred, the forces of darkness work overtime to keep it buried. They wanted you distracted, wounded, lost in comparison. So they whispered lies. You're not enough. You're too much. Stay quiet. But those were never your thoughts. They were seeds planted to keep you small, to keep you from discovering who you really are. But let me tell you something no one else has dared to say. The resistance you faced is proof of your calling. The pressure was a sign of your potential. The attacks weren't random. They were strategic. Because once a chosen one awakens, no force in hell can stop them. What they tried to hide wasn't your weakness, it was your strength. They blurred your vision, not because you were blind, but because they feared what you'd see if your eyes ever opened. But now you're awakening. And everything they used to hold you back, every wound, every betrayal, every voice of doubt, is about to be the very thing God uses to launch you forward. They tried to bury your light, but they forgot one thing. You were born to rise. There is a reason your path has been shadowed with confusion, doubt, and delay. It's not because you were weak. It's because you were powerful before you even knew it. The enemy saw your light long before you could name it, and he feared what you might become if you ever woke up to the truth. You see, light attracts both awe and attack, and when your light began to flicker, the world responded. Not with support, but with silence. Not with celebration, but with suppression. Your questions were dismissed, your boldness misunderstood, your vision mocked. Why? Because when someone carries something sacred, the forces of darkness work overtime to keep it buried. They wanted you distracted, wounded, lost in comparison. So they whispered lies. You're not enough. You're too much. Stay quiet. But those were never your thoughts. They were seeds planted to keep you small, to keep you from discovering who you really are. But let me tell you something no one else has dared to say. The resistance you faced is proof of your calling. The pressure was a sign of your potential. The attacks weren't random. They were strategic. Because once a chosen one awakens, no force in hell can stop them. What they tried to hide wasn't your weakness, it was your strength. They blurred your vision, not because you were blind, but because they feared what you'd see if your eyes ever opened. But now you're awakening. And everything they used to hold you back, every wound, every betrayal, every voice of doubt, is about to be the very thing God uses to launch you forward. They tried to bury your light, but they forgot one thing. You were born to rise. Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own world? Like no matter how hard you tried to belong, something inside you just wouldn't settle? That's not failure. That's not flaw. That's the mark of someone set apart. From the beginning, you've been walking a road less traveled. While others sought popularity, you searched for purpose. While they chased noise, you longed for meaning. And though you may have tried to blend in, shrinking yourself to fit the room, softening your fire to make others comfortable, it never truly worked, did it? Because deep down, your soul has always known the truth. You weren't created to conform. You were created to awaken. The world often fears what it doesn't understand, and people fear what they can't control. That's why your depth unsettled shallow places, your vision threatened small minds, your purity exposed hidden motives. So instead of being embraced, you were often overlooked, misunderstood, even rejected. But rejection is not the end. It's often the beginning of revelation. Every moment you felt like an outsider was actually God preserving your identity. He didn't let you fit in because he never wanted you to forget who you truly are. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. And yet, it was all part of the path to his purpose. Just like you, he was set apart. And that difference was the very thing that positioned him to save nations. So if you've spent your life feeling like you don't belong, take heart. You weren't meant to blend into the background. You were meant to rise above it. You were never created to fit in. You were called to stand out. There's something about you that others may not fully understand. The way you feel, deeply, instinctively, almost painfully at times. The way a stranger's sorrow clings to your heart. The way silence speaks louder to you than words ever could. It's not weakness. It's not oversensitivity. It's sacred. Your empathy is a divine imprint, a reflection of God's heart beating within you. You were born with the ability to see beyond the surface, to feel what others cannot express, to recognize invisible wounds in a world that's too distracted to notice. And while that kind of depth can feel heavy, even overwhelming, it's also holy. God entrusted you with this sensitivity because he knew you could carry it with grace. He knew that when someone was in pain, you'd be the one to show up without needing to be asked. That when the world turned away, your heart would stay open. You're not just emotional, you're discerning. In a world numb to suffering, you are God's reminder that compassion still exists. The Bible says in Galatians 6:2, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ." That's not just a call, it's a confirmation. You've already been doing this your whole life, quietly, selflessly, often unnoticed. But God noticed. Your empathy isn't an accident, it's an assignment. And though it may not always be easy, it is beautiful. It's how the divine flows through you, healing wounds you'll never see, offering comfort only heaven could provide. So never harden your heart to fit in. Your softness is your strength. Your tears are sacred. Your empathy is not a flaw. It's your calling. Have you ever had a dream so vivid it clung to you for days? A sudden knowing that stopped you in your tracks? A whisper in your spirit that made no sense, but felt like absolute truth? That wasn't your imagination. It was God. You see, God rarely shouts. He doesn't always speak through thunder or fire. More often, he speaks in stillness, in the quiet spaces where your soul leans in and listens. And whether you realized it or not, he's been speaking to you all along, through the patterns in your life, through the recurring dreams, through divine delays and mysterious redirections, through a sudden peace in the middle of your storm. All these were his gentle way of guiding you, like breadcrumbs leading you back to your purpose. The world teaches us to dismiss these moments, to chalk them up to coincidence or emotion, but the chosen ones, we know better. We know when something is more than a feeling. It's a divine encounter. God's voice doesn't always sound like words. Sometimes it feels like clarity, like peace when you should be panicking, like an urge to move or a warning to wait. In the Bible, God spoke to Joseph through dreams, to Samuel in the night, to Elijah in a whisper. And to you, he's been speaking through everything, waiting for the moment your spirit would recognize his presence. If you've ever felt like something greater was guiding you, you were right. You're not lost. You're connected. And now, as your awareness deepens, you'll begin to notice him more and more, in the ordinary, the unexpected, and the sacred silence. Because the voice you've been hearing all your life, it was always his. When God places a calling on your life, he wraps it in layers of grace, not to shield you from every hardship, but to preserve you through it. There were battles you didn't even know you were fighting, dangers you didn't see, setups that never reached you. And it wasn't because you were strong enough. It was because God covered you. Psalm 34:7 tells us, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them." He didn't just watch over you. He sent angels to guard your path. There were moments when the car should have crashed, the door should have closed, the heartbreak should have broken you. And somehow, you were spared, rescued, redirected. Why? Because your purpose is still unfolding. You are still here because your mission isn't finished. Sometimes protection looks like delays. Other times it feels like detours. But every time it is divine orchestration. What felt like rejection was often redirection. What seemed like failure was actually preservation. God has been behind the scenes, pulling you out of traps you never even saw. And if he's kept you this far, it's not just to survive, it's to rise. You are a walking miracle, evidence of God's hand at work. The storms didn't take you, the battles didn't break you, and that is proof. You are being protected for a reason far greater than you know. Even in your happiest moments, there's been a whisper, a quiet ache pulling you towards something beyond what you can see, touch, or explain. You've tried to silence it. You've tried to distract yourself, to fit into the mold the world offered. But the longing always returns, deeper, stronger, more insistent than before. That longing is not emptiness. It is proof that your soul remembers something this world cannot satisfy. It remembers where it came from. It remembers God. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "He has set eternity in the human heart." That means your hunger for meaning, for purpose, for truth, for the eternal, is not a flaw. It's a fingerprint of the divine, a sign that you were never meant for a shallow life. Your spirit is tuning itself to heaven's frequency, and that's why you feel things others don't, why you dream of things others fear, Why you seek answers that can't be found in textbooks, but only in God's presence. The longing within you is not a void, it's a compass. It's been leading you here, to this very moment, not to just know who you are, but to finally become it. So don't run from the ache. It's not something to fix, it's something to follow. You are chosen. The question now is not if you are called, but what you will do with that calling. Will you silence the voice and return to the noise of life as usual? Or will you rise, boldly, bravely, into the identity that heaven has always declared over you? You were led here, because God has been speaking to you all along, through the tears, the dreams, the longing, and the survival. He's been stripping away every false label, healing the hidden wounds, and restoring the original name He gave you before time began. You were never lost, only hidden, until you were strong enough to carry the light within you. So lean into this truth. Don't rush away from it. Sit with it. Pray with it. Ask God to show you the next step, and trust that He will. Because your story is not ending here. It's only just beginning. And as you step into this divine awakening, we want to walk with you. Thank you for spending these sacred moments with us. If this message touched your heart, if it stirred something deep within your soul, we invite you to be part of this journey. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss a word of encouragement, a truth whispered from heaven, or a story meant just for you. And if you feel led, share this video with someone else who needs to remember who they truly are. Your presence here matters. May God bless you abundantly, and may His peace walk beside you always.